Welcome to What the Hill is Happening, City on a Hill's monthly informational and formational podcast. This podcast is where you can come to find out what is happening at our church and the why behind the happenings. Well, hey everybody, and welcome back into another episode of What the Hill is Happening, your favorite one-stop shop to get all of the unnecessary details of the necessary things happening at City on a Hill. Good to be with you again. Pastor Derek here, joined by my arch nemesis and co-worker, Kelsey Barker.
Yes, we are here to fight over the great and grand issues of church calendario. That's calendar in Spanish.
Correct.
This is going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
It is going to be one of those episodes. Good to have you back in. I want to point out, as has been pointed out to me at least a couple of times now, that we did not have a typical April episode. Oops. And we're kind of forecasting into this episode, spoiler alert, into May and beyond.
You know, in the words of the great poets and bards, it's going to be May.
It's going to be May. But I will say this, that we did 2 episodes, if you recall, in the month of March. And so if you do the math, 2 in March, 1 split between April and May, we're still batting 1,000.
You know, people are just creatures of habit.
They are.
You know, and I will say, maybe we set expectations incorrectly.
Possibly.
We did say, you know, in every episode we've ever produced of this, your monthly podcast.
So, and what I'm saying is, on average, it's still a monthly podcast.
But we didn't say there won't be one at the beginning of April. So,
but we didn't say it either.
We didn't.
Yeah. See what I'm saying?
I don't know.
I win is my point. It is going to be a good episode, though. We wanted to, before we jump into some of the few things in April and May, talk a little bit about what happened at the very end of March.
Oh, yeah.
Which was preparations for the eclipse. And so, I'm just kidding. It was Resurrection Sunday, and we had a really, really fantastic weekend, both on Palm Sunday and then, of course, Good Friday, always very special. Yeah. Resurrection Sunday, of course, as well. We did it in the gym this year. If you weren't there, we missed you.
Where were you?
Where even were you, really?
Yeah.
It was a really, really excellent service, and I'm very, very proud of everyone's work put into making it happen. Probably chiefly Kelsey here for moving so much of the stuff over. There's a lot that goes into the preparation for that, and it turned out to be for sure the right call.
Yeah, certainly.
To move it over there.
We have, just from like a number of seats. Excuse me, sir. Yes.
Freddie.
He's fine. He's fine. Just like from a number of seats moment, we had, I think, around 500 people just for Good Friday.
Yeah.
And we have 360 seats in the worship center.
Yeah, we could not have done that in the worship center. And, there's always the argument of like, well, maybe less people would have come if we'd been in there. It wouldn't have been as like free to come. But that was kind of the whole point, is like, we want you to feel free to come and potentially invite people. Indeed. And you did. We almost packed it out on Friday, which was incredible. And then on Sunday, it's like we had, I think, 460 something in first service, which we only did 2 services on Resurrection Sunday because of the number of chairs. And so I'm thinking like, man, we're going to have a tiny second service. Right. And then it was almost as big, like by 50 people maybe. And so it was just a crazy weekend. There were so many people there. There were so many people out. There were so many families I know of that were traveling to other family members out of state or in a different city. And so we had 100 additional kids over in the kids building that weren't even accounted for in that, plus some helpers that never made it into service. Right. So, it was just nearly 1,000 people, I think, on Sunday morning on Resurrection Sunday. And so it was just an amazing weekend. One of the things I would challenge you to do is, if you know of somebody that came on that Sunday and haven't, come on. This is a
special guest.
This is the love of doing this in my home, is my dogs with their little attitude just think they own the whole place. If you know someone in that service that came that hasn't come back since, invite them. Text them or call them and bring them in. We would love to have them come and continue to be a part of what we're doing.
We had our newcomers lunch the week after and had several of those people.
Yes.
And, our goal is to not just have people only come on Easter and then be like, well, there's a church box until Christmas Eve.
But
like to actually have people come back.
Yeah.
and be a part of the church.
And even more so, experience the full ministries of the church.
Right.
I mean, I put a lot of time into preaching and teaching and have a high value for the Word of God and teaching and making sure that our people are built on proper understanding of God's Word, and that's never going to change. But man, I would even encourage you even further than that to come and participate in small groups at City on a Hill, get involved in a freedom group, try a family ministry group, do something that connects you to other people, because you're going to grow in your understanding of the Word if you're coming on Sunday mornings, and especially on Wednesday nights to one of our Bible studies. But we've always said, even before I was the pastor here, when life happens, who's going to care? Right. And really that's a way of saying, like, if something happens to you and you're in the hospital or a loved one's in the hospital, I don't necessarily know about that unless you make me aware of that.
Right.
People in the church don't know about that unless they know you and are in their lives. And so I've heard people through the years get upset because like they got sick and no one reached out. And it's like, well, you weren't connected to anybody. So how could someone reach out?
Right.
So get connected, and then people will reach out. Yeah. I know this church well enough. I've been here almost 20 years. The people are good people who love the Lord and love God's people. And I have rarely seen an instance where someone was really deeply connected in this church that wasn't cared for when they needed it.
Well, because the reality is it's extremely possible at City on a Hill, just like it is any other church in America, to walk into our service on Sunday, participate in the service, and then leave, and no one knows who you are.
Right.
It's very possible. Like, we're getting to that point where, I mean, we talk about every Sunday. It's like, who are these new people?
Yeah, we're growing.
And our staff isn't like, growing, instantly to accommodate that. Like, we are the same people.
Yeah.
And so it then becomes like incumbent upon like you guys to get involved and to let us into your lives, and to get plugged into the body. To really experience that fullness.
Love to have you in some of the Wednesday night classes. I know freedom groups are going to be signing up here very quickly for the summer semester. I combine those to semester. Wow. Summer semester. In addition, my New Testament class has already started.
Oh, yeah.
And so these are great places to plug in and just kind of get connected. So hope to see you there in one of those capacities. Hope to see you on Sunday. If you haven't been back in a couple weeks, get into a regular, consistent attendance to the church. It will not... you won't regret it. You will not be like, I just go to church too much. I promise you. One a week, twice a week, very standard. And we don't even have Sunday nights. I could be pressuring you to 3 times a week, but I'm not doing that either. So twice a week is all I'm asking from you at most. And then anything else is bonus, right?
I will say something we did not mention about Easter is we had a choir. Which was honestly just a really fun experience for me.
It was so cool.
It was
so cool to see the engagement of those people up there in the team. Some of them couldn't sing to save their life. It didn't matter.
Did not matter.
They were directed by the legendary Jim Barker, sire of Kelsey.
Yes, my own father.
His own father.
Yeah. Well, and what's crazy is who we had up there in said choir.
Yes.
And the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Jackson Leverett. Just kidding.
And James Reeves. Which is awesome.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Having the time of his life. So happiest and most carefree I've ever seen him on a Resurrection Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, well, he's not preaching. So
not preaching. Just up there singing.
Just up there having a great time. Super, super cool. Well, I'm excited about this episode. I think there's lots to talk about, lots of things to look at even beyond the month of May. And so going to call you back in here in just a little while.
I'll be ready.
But coming up next, I have another guest to join me to discuss a fun men's event that's happening at the end of April. So stick around. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back in for this next segment. I'm joined here by Brian Duncan, which if you haven't met him yet, it means you're either new to the church or you haven't gotten busted yet. But here we are.
Yeah, there we go. That's probably true.
Good to have you in.
Yeah, and
we have an exciting men's event coming up. Brian, one of the things he does is kind of oversee men's Ministerial events. We don't really have a men's ministry in the traditional sense, but we do ministry for men. And we have a ministry event coming up.
I'm glad you explained that.
You like that?
Now I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Succinct.
Yeah, it was very succinct. Yeah, we do have a men's event coming up. It's April 26th, so coming up here pretty quick. And it's going to be at the church.
Yep.
And we were kind of talking through this as a staff and checked with a couple other guys. And we just thought just having something easy to be able to come up to the church and eat eat food is going to be really good. And so we're going to try to get some burgers and some brats, and I think some specialty burgers that Aaron Nelson's going to make, and I'm going to get John Willis to do some of that too. I'm going to kind of different guys have got different styles of burgers they want to bring.
That's
so
right.
I'm kind of excited about that.
I'm excited about that as well. This is not in the notes at all, but it hit my mind, so I'm going to say it, which is a dangerous thing.
Oh, no.
I listened to some research be presented recently in a research seminar I'm in of, it was a historical paper, and it dealt with Charlemagne, King Charlemagne.
Where are we going?
And Charlemagne loved, this is just great because it just says that men haven't changed in over 1,000 years. Charlemagne loved to sit around and eat roasted meats.
Yes.
And hear the church fathers and scripture be read. And I'm like, that's a men's cookout event.
I don't know that we could name this the Charlemagne event.
We don't need to.
Let's just do the men's
cookout's fine.
Men's cookout.
I just want to point out that we're no different than we were over 1,000 years ago.
We haven't changed.
Our tools have just gotten better.
Right.
So that'll be awesome.
Yeah, so we're gonna grill out, and then I think we're gonna do a few testimonies during that time, and then talk about some upcoming events that are gonna be in mostly the fall.
Yeah.
But I want to really cast that vision of where we're going, because it's not gonna just be men's events. It's going to be fathers and sons. It's going to be some different ceremonies and different things like that. That'll be very important. So please take this just that Friday evening and come on up and have a good time.
14 and up, I think, is what we decided.
Yeah, I think so.
So if you have sons 14 or older, they are invited as well. Yes, please make it a point to come up. It's going to be, like Brian said, very informal. We just want to have guys together to, again, share, get to know one another, eat, enjoy good food, hear about the things happening in the church that are going to potentially impact them.
We'll eat at 6:45. That way it gives time for guys to
get off work,
get their kids, come on up. But we'll be cooking. I mean, if you want to get there at 6, don't hesitate. Come on up and let's talk. I imagine we'll be done by 8, but who knows? We may go later than that.
We would like for you guys to sign up on the Church Center app because we need to know food-wise what to prepare for. So don't procrastinate. Don't be a typical dude and wait till the day of. Just get on your phone right now and make it happen. Sign yourself up. Think outside of yourself as well. If you got a buddy from work or a buddy from family or whatever that's not connected to a church, this would be a great thing to invite them to. Again, there's not a lot of pressure. There's not like it's just a bunch of guys hanging around, eating, farting, making fart jokes.
Yes,
things that guys do in a men's cookout.
Which is the best thing. Yeah, it's awesome. So it'll be outside. We'll have some signs around, so it'll kind of show you where it's at. And so you'll pull up and we'll have a good time. You'll smell the food, I promise you.
Absolutely. And it's good food. We know how to cook at City on a Hill.
I've already got like 7 or 8 cooks signed up, and like a couple of professionals.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be fun.
It's going down. So we'd love to have you. I am excited about it.
So April 26th. At the church.
Yep.
Friday evening.
Yep.
6:45's food, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So that's what we got.
Yeah. Show up, sign up. Hope to see you guys there. And again, bring people, invite them. You can +1 or +2 on your invitation. It's going to be a great time. We don't do a lot of these types of things. And so, take the ones that matter and really engage in them. Is there a cost to this?
That's a great question, Derek. I'm glad you brought that up. There is 0 cost to this.
There you go.
The cost is your time on Friday evening.
Yes, and your time and your determination to sign up prior so we have enough food. I'm going to just say that again because it's really important.
Yep.
So, come. We'll see you guys there. Coming up next, we are going to sort of forecast a little bit into not only the month of May, but into the summer as well, give you a few few important dates for camps and things of that nature. So stick around. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back in for the final segment where Kelsey and I will discuss the various ways I plan on silencing my dogs next time we film this. I'm just kidding. Many fun events happening in May and beyond. So first of all, we have Mother's Day sprinkled in there, which is just kind of a small thing. We will absolutely recognize the moms that day and probably have some kind of small gift like we normally do. We don't typically do like a Mother's Day sermon, and I want to explain why in brief, because it's not just Mother's Day, it's also Father's Day and all the various holidays. I think there's like this sort of pressure on preachers, especially in evangelical circles, to preach sermons that are geared towards specific peoples, groups of people or social groups.
Well, it's what the people want to hear, Derek. That's what they're coming to church for that day.
Well, and that's kind of the issue, I think, is you inevitably end up leaving out a ton of other people that are also there at church, that then the message isn't geared towards them at all. But secondly, church becomes about like what I get out of it and not what God has said. And so it's like, well, they didn't do a sermon for me. And it's like, well, I don't do a sermon for you any day of the week. I just preach the Bible.
Yeah, you're not even doing a sermon for yourself.
No, so I'm just preaching the scripture. So I think it's kind of a philosophical decision in some ways that's really actually pretty important for me personally. I never want to communicate that the church is like sort of consumer-based thing that you come to get something that's for you. Obviously, we're trying to serve one another in the spirit of Christ, that in a manner that is consistent with Scripture and that honors God, but we don't want to make church about anything else other than Jesus.
So what you're saying is you don't care about moms,
correct,
dads,
if that's what you're hearing, yes,
veterans,
please, of course,
memorials,
4th of July, Independence, freedom. Yeah, I care about all those things. I just think that all of those things are less important than hearing about Jesus.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So
well, and then it becomes, what are we going to do every single year when Mother's Day rolls around?
Right.
And it's like, okay.
Well, and that's the pressure that preachers have felt for many decades of like, there's only so many Mother's Day sermons you could preach, or
we're going to talk about what it is to be a Proverbs 30, is it 39?
31.
31. Proverbs 39 woman this year.
That's whatever it is. Yeah, we're going to just keep bumping it up to things that aren't even in the Bible.
Yeah, I know.
All of that to say, I'm excited about it. We will absolutely acknowledge the moms and have some kind of gift. And for senior, graduation Sunday, that's also happening sometime end of May. We'll stand the seniors up. It's not going to be a whole sermon on like the next stage of life. It's just going to be whatever is in Mark. So that's sort of just so you're hearing from me why we do those things. That's the why behind the happenings. That's part of what we do the show for. So let's talk about...
so in May, we do have Move Up Sunday, May 26th.
Right.
So all of your kiddos who are in either City Kids or a City Light student ministry, going on up.
Yeah.
Or maybe even leaving the younger ministries of our church, maybe becoming a part of the Life Bible studies or young adult groups.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy.
Which, are you doing your senior thing this year?
Yeah, I will be. Yeah, so we haven't talked about dates yet. That will probably, I imagine, be in a future episode of some kind. You'll certainly hear announcements about it. But yeah, last year we began a senior cohort of graduating seniors that came with me for 6 to 8 weeks. We read through a couple books and just talked about various disciplines, the importance of church membership. I actually had them over here to my house a couple times.
Yeah.
And we cooked for them, and it was a really, it was great. There were several seniors that like got out of that and went into discovery class and became members of the church and now.
Well, and the statistics of easy for me to say, students who graduate high school and never get plugged into a church past what they were, doing with their parents is staggering.
Yeah.
So anything that we can do to help bridge that gap and help young students make faith their own. Super important.
Yeah, I agree.
Super important.
I agree.
That's really all there is for May.
And let me just say, as a side note, that's a good thing. It really is. If you've been around this church for any amount of time, you know that we are not we're a busy church. We do a lot of stuff. There are so many things happening. It seems like all the time. And when we get into June, really through like probably the end of the year, it's going to start really picking up with camps and VBS. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But, the less we can burden the so-called off months, the better, I think, and just give the staff and leadership some reprieve from the kind of extra busyness of the summer and the fall and the beginning of spring and Christmas. And there's like all these points that are so slammed. And so if we can have a month here and there where there's like maybe a Mother's Day service or senior recognition or something, and that's it, that's a good thing, because come June, you're going to be like, whoa, what are we doing?
Well, and I don't know about you, Derek, but I still feel like I can't believe, so we're filming this mid-April right now. I can't believe that it's been like 2 weeks since Easter.
I know.
Like it feels like Easter just happened.
Well, at the same time, it's like, it's almost May.
Yeah.
This year has been so weird and like so fast. It's been that way for church. It's been that way for my studies as well at seminary. It's like, I feel like... Yeah. I feel like I just started the PhD program and I just enrolled in my final 2 seminars. And I'm like, what happened?
Well, like June and I are in the middle of adopting our first kid.
Yes.
And there's been so many things to do for that. And I feel like we like made that decision in January, and all of a sudden it's like, we're already in May.
You're almost at summer.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It's been insane, but that's how life goes.
It is. Here we are.
But, I think, personally for me, there is a leaning for me to look at the calendar and then have this thought of like, how can we leverage this time in order to engage our church well and, try to be busy. And that's just not the best.
It's not.
Because then you end up doing some things that may be good, but aren't necessary.
Yeah.
And so it becomes very important for us to really judge like what's the best use of our time.
Can we say no to things? And if we can, we should.
Right. I think you've said before, say no to the good in order to say yes to the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a good point.
It's a very good point.
So that's why we're being lazy this month. I mean, just kidding.
We do have VBS coming.
Yeah. So that is going to be June 3rd through the 5th.
Yes.
I believe. Let me double check that. Yes, 3rd through the 5th.
Excellent. And if you've been around on Sundays, you've heard me announce the reasoning behind why it is during the day this time around. It's only 3 days instead of 5, which will be a nice... 5 days is just really long for VBS. It's a really... By the 5th day, people are so worn out, and then, the attrition of numbers is very evident. And so we're moving it from the evening to the morning, which is really very common. Most churches I've seen that do VBS still are doing it in the mornings and the afternoons. So we'll be doing that for hopefully in order to see more outsiders come and be a part of this.
Well, and I'll say too, and I'm no expert on kids, but I feel like younger children do better in the morning times.
100%.
Anyways.
100%.
So, you hope that your retention from what they're learning is just going to be better because they're going to feel more.
Bro, by 6:45, 7 o'clock when we would start VBS, those kids are worn out.
Yeah.
Like that's a long day and then a long evening as well. And so, I'm really hopeful that we see a good turnout from that we see more people again from the outside. That's really been the whole driving thought behind this is like VBS is great for our church, but it's not an in-reach event. It's an outreach event.
Right.
And we spend a good amount of the children's budget to make it happen with excellence. And then for it to not really hit the target that we're trying to aim at is just kind of like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So this may not work well, and we may come back to the drawing board after this year and be like, that was a swing and a miss, and I'm okay with that. Anything is better than just trying to continue to do what we've been doing with the same result.
Have you heard the theme for this year?
Is it scuba?
It is scuba.
Scuba Steve.
It is scuba diving into friendship with God.
I'm diving in. Anyways,
throwback.
That's a throwback. It's gonna be great. I have no doubt. The stage designs and that they put out are always awesome, and of course now with the LED wall, it's even better.
Well, and honestly, it is like that's the first couple days of June, so it's a good thing we're talking about it here in our April-May episode.
Yep,
our Maypril. Anyways,
April-ay.
Let's go ahead and move on, Derek.
Camps. So we have middle school and high school
but
camps.
Before that, we have somebody going to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, mission trip. Yeah.
Yeah, so June 15th through the 22nd, Puerto Rico mission trip. We have a team going, and I believe, unless they fill it by the time this episode drops, they're still looking for 2 extra people.
Okay.
So if you feel called to go and serve the people of Puerto Rico,
Sign up.
Going with Sin Relief.
And we will certainly talk about that more for the June episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is an important reminder that if we do have a couple spots open, so if you're interested and you've been kind of on the fence, now's the time to get off the fence.
Contact Chris Cunnington.
To jump into the literal place of Puerto Rico.
Yeah. There's an ocean there.
A whole ocean.
Yeah, scuba, actually, it's a VBS theme. Oh, wait, that's...
we're crossing wires
Dang
now.
it. Anyways, besides that, you were right. We do have camps coming up.
We have camps, and again, we're not going to give you a ton of details right now because we have future episodes to really dive in and bring in June and Aaron and talk through some of the details of it. But we do want to give you dates because it's important that you start marking your calendar. There's not even, I don't think, registrations open for this one.
Not as of right now.
So VBS is open. You can sign up for it. And of course, Puerto Rico has been open for signups, but camps are not. But give me the dates real quick. Middle school
is the 27th of June through the 1st of July.
Yes, it's a Thursday through a Monday, I believe. And then high school camp?
High school is July 25th through the 29th.
25th through the 29th. So if you have kids in either middle school or high school, and you want them to experience the, I think, premier thing that the youth does every year, then you're going to want to mark those dates down and get your kids ready for that. My daughter, Camellia, is going on the middle school camp this year.
How do you feel about it?
I don't really know how to feel about it. I'm excited. I'm also like, what has happened to time?
Got a middle schooler in the house.
I do.
Man.
I will be attending middle school camp this year, and not because of whatever. I love going to camps. I went to kids camps quite a bit earlier in my ministry career here, and because of doctoral studies, I've not really been able to. Last year I would have, but I went to England, and So this year with I'm learning Latin, but that's kind of a self-study thing. I have the capacity to be able to go, so I think I'm going to be going for the.
And Latin's actually great for middle school camp. It's very applicable.
Very applicable. Very conducive to communicating.
Lots of questions.
They do.
Yeah.
So
excited for you on that.
Yeah.
The ranch is a cool experience for camps.
It is.
It's there's always something new every year.
There is.
We have to wrap up the episode, Derek.
Well,
let's hit them with 2 more events. This is it's way too early for you to know this, but I'm going to tell you anyways. First off, Year Lead is going to be the 9th and 10th of August.
Yep.
So mark your calendars, get there for Year Lead. It's always going to be a good time. We have no details about it because we have not thought about it very much, but it's going to be great. And then lastly, the 25th of August, as we're kind of getting back into the swing of school and everything after summer, Night of Worship.
Night of Worship, August 25th.
It's going to be great.
Well, as always, if you find yourself, alone, 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning after a night terror of some kind, and you're wondering what the hell is happening, you know where to come. We'll see you next time.